How much of the problem, though, was at the fault, and I don't know the answer to this, how much of it was the fault of the banks being forced to lend to people that they kind of wouldn't have lended to begin with because they didn't feel that they were very high risk? And how much was the government going, look, we'll take care of it if these people can't pay it back? Like, was it a lot of times the greed of the banks, or was it the government telling the banks, look, we got you covered if these people don't pay you back?
That is part of it. In fact, this is a crazy thing the government did when they handed out the bailout money. They made all the banks take it. They told all the banks you got, because they didn't want the public to know which were the banks that were really belly up. I mean, completely no cash in the till. And so, because the public would go, oh, those are the bad banks, so I don't want my money in there. So all the banks then took money, again, to create a shell game so that we, the people, wouldn't know where the really bad banks are. Wouldn't you like to know? I mean, where's the safest bank right now to put your money?
Yeah.
I think I'd like to know that, but we can't find that out because the government is protecting them because they're worried that there'll be a run on the bad banks. But if you remember the savings and loan scandal back in the 80s, similar thing happened. The government stepped in and took receivership of these banks. They just took them over, and they said, okay, we're going to sort this out. And these banks over here that have been fucking around, you're out.
Right.
These banks, okay, you're solid. You stay. And then they turned it back over to the banks, and it saved the system at that moment. That's not what they did this time. They didn't say, okay, we're sending in the feds. We're going to straighten this mess out. We got to protect the people's pensions.
Well,
that's not what they
doled
did.
out money.
They just doled it out.
Hope for the best.
Hope for the best.
That they were going to do the right thing.
But they doled it out to crazy people who then, the same chairman are still there. The same people.
Yeah, that's something
Bank
I
of
completely
America.
don't agree with. No heads rolled during this whole thing. It was a giant clusterfuck, and no heads really rolled.
Right.
On
it's
this.
it's like giving your kid something and the kid just is reckless with it and breaks it. And you see this happen, right? Just totally reckless. Mm-hmm. And you say to your kid, "Oh, have another one." And then they break that one. "Oh, have another one." I mean, that's what's going on here. They know now. This is the worst thing, actually. They know now in the future they can just fuck up and fuck around as much as they want because Big Daddy government is going to be there to give them some socialism.
But don't you some socialism?
Some welfare money.
Don't you see though that people are starting to catch on to this? I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a nation more educated in the likes of the economy, how it's not working, how the government is stepping in when maybe they shouldn't.
Absolutely. Nothing like a wake-up call at 52 years old to find your pension gone when you were going to retire in 10 years.
And I think there's the one thing that really stops this innovation that we need, that you were talking about. We do need new things, new technology, is just perpetuating the old technology by pumping money in it and trying to keep it on its broken legs. Let it fold. Let it go under because something else will take its place.
That's what they told us free enterprise was. You rise or fall based on how well you do. And if you don't do well...
Why am I agreeing with you on this? Shit. God damn it.
Well, but that's scary because actually, they've tested, the studio tests these movies, before they release them. And they found that of all my movies, more Republicans are going to go to this one than any of my other films.
They say you give Democrats a pretty hard time in this one. It's not just an attack on Republicans.
No. We go right after anybody who's on the take. I don't care if they're Democratic, Republican, whatever. We've got to be the watchdog of this thing here. And
well, now talking about industry in this country and the fact that we used to be a powerhouse years ago, and now we aren't making things. I see a lot of the problem being the whole world now is involved in the economy of the world. It didn't really used to be that way. You had your powerhouses. We were one of them, the top one. But now there's so many other countries involved that are using virtual slave labor. How is the United States supposed to compete with a country like China that is pumping out products at nothing because they're using slave labor?
Very easy.
How do we do this?
Very easy. China can't survive unless we allow their products in. Bottom line. And so we can say to them, you know what? We're not going to sell anything in the United States made by essentially slave labor.
But we're supposed to then suck it up and pay more for American products which
Well,
it sounds
you know what?
noble. It sounds noble,
But it sounds American.
I'll give you that, but the realism of it isn't just CEOs being greedy. This is the American people feeling entitled and greedy and saying, if I could get this product for $2, why am I going to pay $6 for it? And I think that's putting us in a
not everyone does that. When I need something.
Ed Begley Jr. doesn't. For the love of God, thank God for him.
Michael, before you answer, can I just tag Anthony's point? Because the next point with that is kind of, if we do that too, we stop Chinese stuff from coming in here, won't it also hurt the workers here? Because A, they don't want to spend more money for American products because it's more money. But then China and other countries will stop our products from going there, which also hurts industry here.
The trade rate between China and us is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
We give them a fraction of what they're sending over here. So.
No, you're right, though. I mean, listen, I don't want hardworking people who are struggling and living from paycheck to paycheck to have to pay an extra $5 for a shirt if they don't have to. But by doing that, too, we've also prevented what really needs to happen here. If you can't afford that shirt, if you can't afford that new car, you might be encouraged to get with your other workers and form a union and negotiate better wages for yourself. I mean, that's what my dad did. That's what my grandfather did. And that's how the middle class was created, because a bunch of working stiffs with no college education said, damn it, you're going to have to pay us a little bit more so we can buy your cars. And Henry Ford, to his credit, realized, I'm not going to sell any cars to a bunch of paupers. I've got to help create a middle class here so I can sell those cars. And when I sell those cars, that means I'm going to put more people to work because all these cars are being bought. And then I hire more people, then they buy cars, and kaboom. And then you have what we had for those, few decades where, you had a chance to live a decent. My mom didn't have to work. We lived on one income. A lot of homes now are 3-income homes where the teenager is having to work. That's not the American dream. That's not what I grew up with. That's not what my dad fought for in World War II. And we should just say that's it. That's enough of that. And let's not get hung up with whether we're Democrats or Republicans, liberals or conservatives. We are all in the same boat here.
Never seen a bigger divide though than
I know.
Now. Well, it's amazing.
Opie, actually, you saw the movie. I mean,
what do you see for the future there, Michael Moore? How does this end? Is it all doom and gloom, or
are we looking at Rome?
Do you see the people possibly?
I got that in the movie.
Yeah,
I know the opening scene comparing America to the Romans,
the fall of the Roman Empire,
and also the Jesus thing. Reworking Jesus's lines in an old Jesus movie was pretty funny about pre-existing.
That was my homage to you guys to get into, so I can get in trouble. But will
the American people ever get so fed up that they do something outrageous in this country, or are we too busy trying to pay our bills? I mean, will there be some kind of revolt?
I think there is a revolt right now that's simmering.
It's simmering. We all see it, but I mean, will it go away or will it continue?
Yeah. How bad does it have to get? I mean, right now, 1 out of every 8 homes is in delinquency or foreclosure.
That's just amazing.
1 out of every 8. I saw the statistic the other day that there's and I was able to. I mean, a few weeks ago, I put this right. The last thing I put on the film in the credits was there's one foreclosure filing in America every 7.5 seconds.
Wow.
I mean, we are in deep shit here.